U.S. prosecutors have broadened the criminal case against the former President Donald Trump. In fact, the U.S. prosecutors on Thursday brought new charges against him and accused a second of his employees with helping to evade officials who were trying to recover sensitive national security documents he took from the White House. Office of the Special Counsel has accused the former president of seeking to delete security camera footage at Mar-a-Lago. The manager of the property was also named as a new defendant. Now, according to these charges, the manager helped to hide sensitive government documents from officials who tried to recover them. Well, the big question is that the way Donald Trump is under pressure and scanner, how soon is it that he's going to hit back? Will his legal team be able to fight back? And what impact is it likely to have on the upcoming American polls? Joining me now, my colleague Sanjay Suri. Sanjay, Donald Trump seems to be moving from one trouble to another. You know, we are going to be seeing elections in America. Donald Trump certainly is going to loom large. That factor of Trump factor is going to loom large. How do you see the legal cases he's been mired in affecting his chances, his party, and the entire political narrative in the country?
Well, contrary to expectations, Pallavi, what we've seen so far, and it's important to underline so far, is that with one indictment after another, in parallel to that, his support is in fact rising within the Republican Party. He is the front runner by far. He's managing to collect a lot of money, not just for his campaign, but for his cases. Now, that can go so far and no further. This is now a very serious new twist and a very serious new dimension that we've seen to the classified documents case, and that there is evidence surfacing now, further obstruction and a further attempt to conceal evidence. Now, in the first set of 37 charges, the most serious was the charge relating to obstruction, and that carries a potential sentence of 20 years, the most severe within those charges. Now we have two further charges of obstruction. This clearly is going to be a very serious case now for Trump, and he is going to have his back to the wall, and already we have indications, if there have been directions to try and remove evidence or conceal evidence, it does show that Trump is rattled.
And you know, Trump has often accused the present American administration of deliberately witch hunting, targeting him. And there are many observers who feel, Sanjay, that actually Trump is going to bounce back. Do you see that happening?
Well, you cannot rule that out, but you know, the opposition from the fight back from Trump has been mostly verbal, mostly in fact a couple of expressions. He calls it a witch hunt, and anyone who seeks to prosecute him is considered, in his words, deranged, as he considers Jack Smith in this latest round. But whether he bounces back really will depend upon how severe these cases become. They're all expected to come to trial sometime next year, and that is when the primaries will be in full swing. At that stage, if there is new evidence surfacing that there is a concealment of evidence after taking classified documents home, and it turns out not just taking them home but showing them, and in fact showing them off. He told a couple of visitors, look what I've got here, and showed them documents that contained highly classified documents relating to a possible invasion of Iran. If not invasion, some way of countering Iran. That's all within those classified. He showed them off as a former president, as a former commander-in-chief of the armed forces. This is seriously irresponsible and, in fact, as alleged, criminal. Whether the American public or the Republican voters particularly will accept all this, not far from clear that they will.
You know, Sanjay, I'm just taking a leaf out of, say, politics over here in India also. Very often adversities or these kind of corruption allegation charges are actually used by our netas or by our politicians to their advantage. At least they make an attempt to do so. They try and evoke that sympathy factor. You think that's going to be working with Donald Trump?
Well, it is working so far. He has been claiming that he's being targeted, unfairly targeted. He has the popularity arising from an appeal that he has with the right-wing voters within Republican Party, which itself is right-wing enough. But he certainly has a fund of support for him that is almost support by default. That has not betrayed him yet. That has not abandoned him yet. But in the face of this particular case, particularly on classified documents, this is the most serious indictment so far, and we haven't necessarily come to the end of indictments. There could be another in Georgia as early as next month. But in the first case we saw in the New York State over hushing up payments, that was one level of allegation relating to the porn star Stormy Daniels. But now, classified documents, this is, as alleged, playing fast and loose with the security of the United States. In time, as the evidence services, it is very likely that the American public...
Okay. So just hold on there, because I'm just going to come back to you. But meanwhile, let's listen in to what the Attorney General had to say, and then I'm going to go back to America and to Sanjay Surya.
Good afternoon. Since I became Attorney General, I have made clear that the Department of Justice will speak through its court filings and its work. Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week. That search was of premises located in Florida belonging to the former president. The department did not make any public statements on the day of the search. The former president publicly confirmed the search that evening, as is his right. Copies of both the warrant and the FBI property receipt were provided on the day of the search to the former president's counsel, who was on site during the search. Today, I signed an order appointing Jack Smith to serve as special counsel.
Before we begin, I want to address the appalling announcement today by the egregiously corrupt Biden administration and their weaponized Department of Justice. Would you like me to talk about that? Larry, would you like me to talk about that? This horrendous abuse of power is the latest in a long series of witch hunts. It started a long time ago. I thought the investigation with the document hoax was dying or dead or over, and the investigation into January 6th in my very peaceful and patriotic speech, remember? Peaceful and patriotically, was dead, especially after the record-setting 40-point loss of Liz Cheney in the great state of Wyoming. I thought it was dead. I thought that put the final nail in the coffin, only to find out that the corrupt and highly political Justice Department just appointed a super radical left special counsel, better referred to as a special prosecutor, to start the process all over again. We thought it was just about dead.